Hi, everybody. This is just a quickie. Um, Not that type of a quickie. Um, yeah, look, I just wanted to speak about unpacking our fear of death. As someone with a lot of Scorpio in her chart, I'm a friend of death. Death is my life path in the Kabbalah. So the lesson of death is to be able to transform. Okay, and transformation occurs in three stages. If we think about the caterpillar, we've got this kind of slug-like creature, which is like us when we're in ego, okay, when the mind is dominant and we're just like, more Netflix, more donuts. And this is when the wounded child is dominant. And so we're constantly on the hunt to self-soothe. Rather than look at our crap, we're just going to stuff it down with more sensate pleasure. And then the second stage is the chrysalis. And this is when we realize that hasn't made us happy. And so we retreat, which is actually a form of depression. It's immobilization, where there's kind of a submitting and an acknowledgement that what we're doing isn't working and we don't know how to move forward. So we're just like, when you don't know what to do, do nothing. The third stage is, of course, emergence. This is when we shed not just the chrysalis, but we shed our old skin, which is our old identity, who we thought we were, what we thought the world was about. Okay. And this is liberating. Now, someone who is liberated to someone that is still in the caterpillar phase looks mad. Okay. It's like, they can't begin to conceptualize without going through the process the other person's version of reality. Okay. So this is why we see so much conflict and divide at the moment, because some are still in the old paradigm and others have gone through a personal breakdown and breakthrough and are in the new paradigm. So, these two trying to speak to each other is, really quite pointless, because you'll only go through that process through life initiating you. Life breaks us down, okay, through all the hurts and disappointments and struggles to get us to the point where we go, I surrender. And that's, when people whip themselves and think, oh God, I've made a complete fuck up of my life. I'm a failure. I'm unlovable. I'm, to this, to that, whatever. But this is when we're almost a butterfly. This is the 11th hour. And the irony is we have to give up. Okay, we have to stop the insatiable search and lust for happiness in the external world, whether that's trying to find people to prove to us that we're lovable, or trying to make a killing in business financially, or having the biggest house or the biggest car or the biggest dick or whatever. So, this is a time that the ego sees as failure, but the soul sees it as, oh, goody, we're finally getting somewhere. Okay. So the what we see right now on the planet is what's come up to be fully seen is a collective fear of death, which is really a fear of change, a fear of the unknown. Perfectly understandable, given that we're shifting from one 2,000 year astrological age into the next. So everything that we valued, everything that we thought was real is dying, okay, is being questioned. And we're realizing, oh, life isn't what I thought it was. Okay. Now, if our fear of death is subconscious. Okay, if we don't even know that we're fearful of death, it just means we haven't confronted it. So we haven't processed that fear. So we're then more susceptible to being easily triggered into hysteria, okay, into a fearful state of terror, okay, and being triggered by people, you know, programming us with fearful beliefs, which results in compulsive behaviors, OCD, okay, obsessional compulsive behaviors, the things that we can't stop doing, and half the time we don't even realize that we're doing. And the fear of germs is a classic OCD affliction, okay, or preoccupation. You know, oh God, I'm not clean, I'm not clean, I'm not clean. Because nature, okay, is chaos. Okay, she's completely comprised of germs, as are we. So the idea one can ever be germ-free is madness. And if you're enslaved to the mind that is running a fear-based story, you will feel like you're going mad with anxiety, okay, with mania, with trying to stay safe, trying to create security. Now, the fear state is widespread in our world because we lost the sacred practices that enabled us to face our fears on a regular basis. Okay, I am speaking of the practice of sitting in circle, because when we sit in circle, we face ourselves. Okay, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. There's no Netflix, no Stan. And it's a supportive space. Okay, so rather than, you know, like a vision quest where you dropped off and it's like, yeah, we'll see you in 4 days, hope the hyenas don't get you. Circle is like a womb space. It holds you. Okay, and you're gently encouraged to feel what is uncomfortable. And this evokes looking at the beliefs that are creating that feeling, okay? Because all change starts with a thought, all right? If we've got a positive thought form, then we're going to spiral up and we're going to feel fantastic. Whereas if we're running a negative thought form, we're going to spiral down, okay? And we're going to feel anxious and depressed, and yeah. So circle is an opportunity to acknowledge what the stories are that are running us. So we don't just share story like drama, okay? And then this happened, and then he did that, and she did this, because that is draining. No one wants to enable a victim or a martyr. Instead, we hold a space to look at, okay, what are the thoughts that are running me? What are the choices I'm making? And how is that playing out? So we can be accountable for what it is we are creating and reacting to without blaming anything outside of ourselves. This is how we become mature psychologically. This is how we become emotionally intelligent. And the elephant in the room is we're not. We're immature, okay? The collective group mind is at best 21. A lot of people are more hanging out in the teenage and some in the wounded child, because we lost our rites of passage. And so without these sacred initiations to bring people together, to consciously look at themselves and mature, okay, every month, every season, we have descended unconsciously into a state of denial and disassociation and immaturity. And just like scared children, that makes us more easily controlled, ruled, and manipulated. So in the hero's journey, and the heroine's journey, there are 3 distinct stages of transformation, just as there is with the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And those 3 stages are the descent. So when we consciously leave the everyday world, the social distractions, the family commitments and expectations, the job pressures, and we take retreat, okay, at a designated space and time with others that are equally committed to growing and to looking at that which they don't see in themselves, which they need to befriend and integrate if they are to become whole. The second stage is initiation. Now, that sounds possibly a bit scary for people. It doesn't necessarily have to mean, you know, walking across hot coals. An initiation can be as simple as finding the courage to speak your innermost feelings and sensations and knowings from your heart and being witnessed in that. Because through doing that, you will be changed. You will express your feelings. And like the caterpillar dissolves in its own tears, in its own fluid, so do we. That's what the baptism is. Okay? The reenactment of that by a priest is nowhere near as powerful as the real initiation, which is us dissolving the social mask, dissolving the rigid mind, dissolving the identity through grieving everything in our life that we fear hasn't worked, okay? And it is through that catharsis, that breakdown, that the soul is reborn. The third stage is the return. And this is when we return to our everyday world, okay, to our loved ones, to our job, to our friends, but with a new perspective. We're humbled. And when we have a big emotional release, we clear the channel to download insights. So if we're stagnant with unexpressed emotion, we cannot receive wisdom from the quantum field of infinite intelligence. But if we dare to become nebulous, to feel, okay, and to express that feeling, which is much easier when we're held. Just like the caterpillar within the chrysalis is safe to dissolve. He wouldn't dissolve just out on a leaf, something would come and eat him. So too, we need a safe space, and social spaces are not safe. Social spaces, unlike sacred spaces, always have a dominant ego, always have a scapegoat, whether it's covert or overt. And this is the case in every school, every workplace, and every family. Because we haven't learnt how to create safe group dynamics, which is why I'm so passionate about this. We will not stop the endemic trauma, okay, and the rewounding if we don't learn to identify what are unsafe group dynamics and how to create new ones. So if you'd like to be part of that social revolution and seed a circle in your local community, maybe it's in your workplace, maybe it's to assist, just your inner circle of family and friends, or perhaps it's on a university campus or online, okay, with so many people in lockdown in a state of crisis and feeling so isolated, there is such a need for people to be midwifed through this shift. And circles are an ideal way to do it. This is not a webinar. This is holding a deep space of intentional transformation that allows people to face their fears with support. So, if you feel the call to midwife people from a state of fear into a state of inner trust, centeredness, and maturity, I would like to invite you to join me this Monday. We start the Facilitator Training. There's one stream for men, one stream for women. And I will post the links under this live video. So yeah, just my thoughts. You don't have to agree. But for me, this is my lived experience, what transformed me from being someone who was always fearful that I wasn't enough and striving so hard in everything I did to try and be perfect, okay, from having the perfect figure to, you know, the perfect personality, to being the perfect employee, to, you know, achieving, trying to be famous in order to get approval, getting degrees. I mean, it just went on and on. How tiring. Whereas when I took myself away and I lived off grid for a year in the forest, in a little hut above an underground lake, I literally drowned in my own tears. For 3 months, I just sobbed. I felt sorry for myself and I had my own pity party. And it was because I found the supportive circle. If I hadn't been initiated into that, I wouldn't be sitting here with confidence, speaking my heart to you right now. And we are here to be heroes and heroines and steward in this new astrological age, not being fearful children that are being punished and sent to our rooms. We are here to stand in our truth, to face our fears, and to be the elders of the new mythology, a term that I love that was coined by one of my students, Eilish Diabolon, many years ago, and it rung true and it still does today. So I invite you to be part of the new mythos, part of creating a scaffolding of socially sustainable networks by reintroducing the ancient sacred practice of circle that aligns with the power windows of the natural circles so that together we can face our fears and mature and transform. So thanks for listening and yeah, have a wonderful weekend.